But one of the reasons that so many of us struggle with weight problems, or we may feel that we're heavier than we're supposed to be, for example, or a lot of people are trying to lose weight. People are heavier in developed countries than they've ever been before. This has strong evolutionary reasons behind it. We have more mechanisms to keep us hungry compared to mechanisms to make us full and to make us feel satisfied. And this is because our most distant ancestors who developed these traits were not in situations of abundance where they had to tell themselves to stop. They were much of the time in situations of privation, of not having enough. And so you better get that fruit while you can, because it's only going to be ripe for, a couple of weeks, and then you won't have it again until next year. So most of our psychology around eating is geared towards keeping us hungry enough to keep us well fed and put on some fat stores so that we can make it through the winter. And so the true paleo diet, if we ate like our ancestors did, would probably be eating just like we do now, because we are cavemen bodies and brains in the modern world where food is so much more abundant, so much higher calorie, higher carb, and in such a smaller space. Weight gain and loss for many people has a lot more to do with expectations than it does with health. So many of us tie, like I was mentioning before, tie a certain body type to being good or healthy and even moral, and other body types, typically being larger, to being indulgent, out of control. It's bad. It means you're a bad person. And for people who have these beliefs pretty strongly and they act on them strongly, those cultural beliefs that many of us have to some degree can spiral out of control into an eating disorder. And for all of the three eating disorders, they go through binge and restrict cycles. But for them, the binging or restricting or even purging might be the bigger symptom compared to others. So I want us to look really quickly at the thinking behind eating disorders. And you may even recognize that even if you don't have an eating disorder, you might have a little bit of disordered thinking about it. And for you to improve your health might involve a lot more about improving your behaviors. So avoid doing this, just eat a little bit less, maybe eat a little bit fewer carbs, move a little bit more, and have different expectations for what your body type should look like. That's the path for long-term health for most of us. So typically, people with eating disorders diet or restrict in some way. People without eating disorders do this all the time too. And when you're doing well, so this means meeting your expectations, whatever they are. When you're doing well, you're meeting your goals, you're feeling good about yourself, it brings your anxiety down, you're following your plan, and eventually you're going to lose control of that. You're going to have, in an eating disorder, unrealistic expectations for yourself, or without an eating disorder, crash fad diets do the same thing. After a while, the expectations and the rules of the diet are too strict to follow all the time. And instead of going, okay, I did a little bit worse today, but I can do a little bit better tomorrow, we tend to go, screw it, I've blown the whole thing. I had 5 more Weight Watchers points than I was supposed to, and I've completely blown it, and I'm not going back. And so you tend to binge or overeat pretty strongly. This leads to feelings of guilt. Oh, I did a bad thing with my diet, and therefore I'm a bad person. It leads to more fear of weight gain. And so what you tend to do to regain control and reduce that anxiety and fear and guilt is to go back to restricting. And you go through this over and over and over. If a person has anorexia, their major problem is their dieting and restricting. The restricting is so strict that they might be eating, 500 calories a day or something. And if they go over that, a binge for them might be eating 1,000 calories a day, which is still serious restriction. It's still only about half of what you should have. They might go back into this cycle. For a person with bulimia, their primary issue is not quite as much restriction. It's more binging. And then instead of restricting, they might purge, but it does the exact same thing, has the exact same function in this cycle. And purging, by the way, is not only throwing up, it could be giving yourself laxatives, it could even be over exercising and having an addiction to exercise. And then in binge eating disorder, we have this as well, just without as much of the dieting and restricting. The binging is the biggest problem, and you tend to do that over and over. Um, but for the most part, it's about control and it's about expectations. So whatever our restriction is has to do with what we expect our body type to look like and what we expect to be able to do in a given day when it comes to food. And most of us, because of our culture and what we're kind of fed all the time, so to speak, about weight, gives us unrealistic expectations of what that's going to be.